On April 4th, 1968, the world lost one of its most luminous voices for justice. Standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., at age 39, was struck down by an assassin's bullet. His death sent shockwaves through a nation already fraught with division and pain. Yet half a century later, King's message of nonviolent resistance, moral courage, and the beloved community continues to guide activists across every continent. Today we reflect not only on the tragedy of that day, but on how Dr. King's vision illuminates our path forward in the 21st century. By early 1968, America had already weathered landmark victories. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed segregation in public spaces. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 dismantled Jim Crow's political barriers. Yet beneath these legislative triumphs lay festering wounds: urban poverty, economic exclusion, and continued de facto segregation. In Memphis, sanitation workers, predominantly African American, had mobilized for safer conditions and fair pay. Their struggle would draw Dr. King into his final mission, uniting racial justice with economic justice in his vision of a truly just society. Born Michael King Jr. on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, young King was steeped in both the warmth of his close-knit community and the harsh realities of segregation. His father, a Baptist minister, instilled in him a belief that faith could serve as a force for social transformation. By age 15, King entered Morehouse College, already demonstrating intellectual curiosity and moral purpose. Later, at Crozer Theological Seminary and Boston University, he immersed himself in the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. From Gandhi, he adopted satyagraha, nonviolent resistance, as the moral backbone of his own movement. In December 1955, Rosa Parks' defiance sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. Under King's leadership, African Americans organized carpools, pressured city officials, and held firm to nonviolent discipline for 381 days. Their victory before the Supreme Court dismantled bus segregation and propelled King onto the national stage. By 1957, King co-founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. The SCLC became the organizational arm for campaigns in Birmingham, Albany, and beyond. Sit-ins, marches, and mass protests that leveraged media coverage to expose the brutality of segregation. On August 28, 1963, before 250,000 people at the March on Washington, King delivered his immortal "I Have a Dream" address. His words crystallized the aspirations of a generation and galvanized support for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. At 35, King became the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. His acceptance speech wove together themes of racial justice, economic fairness, and global peace. His global standing bolstered domestic campaigns, drawing sympathetic allies and pressuring lawmakers to pass meaningful reforms. Dr. King believed that racial equality was inseparable from economic justice. When Memphis sanitation workers struck in February 1968 over unsafe equipment and low wages, King answered their call. His presence elevated their cause, casting economic enfranchisement as a civil rights imperative. In those prophetic words, King acknowledged his own mortality, yet affirmed the enduring power of collective struggle. At 6:01 p.m. on April 4, 1968, as Dr. King prepared for dinner, a sniper's bullet struck his neck. Rushed to St. Joseph's Hospital, he was pronounced dead at 7:05 p.m. News of his assassination ignited grief and outrage. Over 100 cities across America erupted in riots and marches. That night, President Lyndon B. Johnson appealed for calm and accelerated civil rights legislation. Within a week, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1968, often called the Fair Housing Act, prohibiting discrimination in housing. Signed into law on April 11th, it stood as an immediate tribute to King's legacy. James Earl Ray, the alleged gunman, was captured at London's Heathrow Airport on June 8, 1968. He pled guilty in March 1969, accepting a 99-year sentence, then recanted, claiming a conspiracy. Subsequent investigations, including the 1979 House Select Committee on Assassinations, concluded Ray acted alone. Yet conspiracy theories endure, underscoring the depth of public mistrust. 15 years after his death, Congress established Martin Luther King Jr. Day, first observed in January 1986. Today, it is both a day of remembrance and a national day of service, calling Americans to live out King's values through community engagement. Globally, King's model inspired anti-apartheid activists in South Africa, human rights campaigns in Europe, and, most recently, the Black Lives Matter movement here at home. His insistence on nonviolence plus strategic planning offers a blueprint for change in any era. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, how will you advance the dream?